and I could tell a story. You might have to edit this.
All right, well,
Okay.
we'll see.
So when I was working for a dealership in Oklahoma City, one of my mechanics went missing. So I went looking for him. I know he went in the bathroom, so I go in there, and he's standing there in front of the toilet. And I said, "What's the matter?" He said, "I dropped my phone in there."
Welcome to the Henryettan tonight, and today we have actually had a pretty exciting day, and I am here with one of the candidates that is running for the Senate in District 8 here in the area, and we're going to have a little conversation with Rd Jolly today. And how are you doing? We had a pretty exciting day today, didn't we?
It's been a busy day. It's been a long day, but very beneficial, very informative, and very educational as well.
Yeah. There was quite a lot of things going on at the Capitol today. I mean, they were in session, and there was several groups there talking about windmills and all kinds of things today. So
There was a lot going on, and we had a surprise speaker. Superintendent Ryan Walters came in and spoke to the group, and actually got to meet him afterwards in the hallway by accident, so I wasn't prepared with anything. But we've got a lot of needs, a lot of issues that the candidates need to be aware of because
Right.
they're going to have to decide on that.
right. Yeah, I'm new to Oklahoma, but I have, over the last 3-4 months I've been here, I've learned a lot. There's a lot of issues, and we're going to touch on some of those little subjects today. We're going to try to touch on it. One of the things I'm curious about is I looked at the number of candidates today, which is kind of interesting. There was like at least 5 Republicans that are running in this race.
I'm running through that. We're looking for 6 Republicans running, but we have tomorrow as well. But
Okay.
yeah, there's 5 candidates on the ticket right now.
Yeah.
And 4 of them filed today. I was one of them that filed today while I was up there at the Capitol.
Right.
Just tried to save a long drive,
Yeah, no, and Josh here called me last night and said, "I'm going to the Capitol. You need to go with me." So I pretty much decided to go with him tonight. Yeah. Now, you are running. Can you tell me a little bit about yourself and your main goal for running? What's your intention? What do you stand for? You have a few minutes here where you can talk about yourself. We don't get to do that a lot, but
Well,
now you're allowed.
I try to be humble, so it's kind of hard to talk about myself, but here we go. This is it.
Right.
I got interested in this particular seat with talking with Senator Thompson when he was in office. I didn't really agree with the things that he did or was doing or saying, and went and talked to him, and we found common ground, and we became friendly. We would have breakfast on occasion, and he would tell me how his days are and what that looks like. And it was about 2022 on a visit when I found out he was going to term out in 2026. I thought, I'm going to throw my hat in the ring.
Right.
Well, he resigned in June, and here we are. Had to step it up to get ready to make this run, but I'm feeling led by God to make this run. And financially, it doesn't make any sense. But I know I'll be fine because I've got to leave a job that I have that pays considerably more than this one. So it's not a financial decision by any means. Right. I've had a rough life, my own doing, And it is what it is. You've seen my page. Everything's laid out there.
Yeah, we have a web page. You know, but one of the things I want to do with these interviews, we're going to have, and I'm telling you, the audience, we're going to have interviews with, if not everybody, but at least, because I feel it's important that each one that are running are actually getting the message out, and I feel like that's one of my duties, to let everybody speak. You know,
so
First Amendment have been a little bit of a discussion subject over the last few years.
One of the other candidates, which we've become good friends over this.
Right.
The way I'll tell the story.
Yeah,
we've become good friends over this, and I met two more of the candidates up there, and got a good reading. They're good people.
Yeah.
The voters are going to have difficulty choosing based on what the printed platform is.
Right.
Because they're all pretty much the same. Everybody wants less government. We want less taxes. We want more of the benefits for the working people. And I've actually got some statistics, if I can look down so I don't get them.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So Oklahoma and 40 other states tax the top 1% less than any of the other percentages. So the rich are barely paying taxes.
Right.
But when it comes down to the bottom side of that, the people that don't make so much money, Oklahoma and 33 other states tax them the most. And I myself am a blue-collar worker. I've been a truck driver, a diesel mechanic, worked in the oil field, worked in the construction industry. Everything's done with these. And now I'm teaching diesel in career tech, which that pays very well, by the way.
Right.
They take care of me. I've been doing it for 18 years. I'm pretty good at it.
Right.
That still needs to be going. We need to educate our people to get to better jobs.
Right.
And not just come out of high school.
This is an interesting thing. 20, 30, 40 years ago,
I remember it.
the Democrats were the Labor Party.
Yeah. Yeah, my grandmother was a staunch Democrat.
In my view, at least, anymore. Do I have the correct feel on that? Because I feel like the political shift has been such, it's gone from being a little far right and a little far left, right, to so the only centrists that I see in politics today is actually the Red Party.
So the left is left. They will never be right. And the right is right. You don't transition. There is a new group in the middle between the left and the right, and they're called the moderate.
All right.
And that's middle of the road.
Right.
It's almost like they can't make their mind up.
Right.
But yes, I will stand here and I will tell you, I was registered Democrat at an early age because I was told, if you want to vote in Oklahoma, you have to register Democrat. So I ran with it, let it go.
Right.
I voted in all the major elections, but I didn't always vote for the party that I was registered. I voted for the lesser of the two evils, is what I had always said.
Right.
And here we are. And in 2022, when I decided that when Roger termed out that I'd run, I changed my party to Republican. And I've been raked over the coals over that already by the GOP.
Right.
And it is what it is. And that's what I did.
Well, I think GOP needs to see a lot of the Democrats coming over to their side, and I've seen that shift. I mean, over the last 4 or 5 years.
But you're exactly right. 30, 40 years ago, the Democrat, they were for the working men.
Right.
The lower income, the Republicans were typically known as the upper crust, the higher end. And now that's kind of flip-flop.
Yeah, I say this, that if President Kennedy were alive today, he would be a Republican.
I wouldn't doubt that at all. I wouldn't doubt that at all.
He would be.
My grandmother was a very, very, very much Democrat, that she would only vote for a Democrat. She walked in, checked one box on the ballot, which was straight party voting, and went home and felt good about it. And we had lots of discussions about that, me being a Democrat too, but she saw that I would vote for whoever I thought would have the best influence on the office. Right. And it upset her. She called her preacher on me. And she invites me up for dinner, and I get up there, and there's the pastor. And after about a 3-hour conversation, I had to go on into work. I worked in Oklahoma City, but I had to go on into work. And so he's leaving a little bit early. And she said, "Did you get him straightened out?" And he told her, said, "He's got some valid points, Alberta."
Yeah.
But,
yeah. Now let's get back a little bit to you are running. What I'd like to get out of you a little bit is, what is your, hypothetically, once you're in the office, what are your intentions? What do you want to accomplish? What do you want to see change? What kind of changes do you want to be part of making?
Are you ready for this?
Oh yeah, I'm ready.
This is gonna sting some people, and if I'm your conscience, deal with it. Okay?
Yeah.
You ready?
Yeah. Go ahead.
So we need to, these bills that they've got brought up, Senate Bill 268, 239, 114, and 88, we need to get those passed. And whoever gets this office has to make sure those get passed.
All right. Can you give the audience a little bit of background to each one of those, so they know what you're talking about passing?
Okay, so
just
briefly. Senate Bill 88 is the teachers' retirement. The teachers that are already retired,
okay,
they're going to get a cost of living increase.
Right.
And everybody that's out there busting their butt every day, you know what that means. It's going to be a little bit of extra money that they've already paid into it that they're going to be released to draw. It's not going to cost the taxpayers anything.
All right.
Senate Bill 114 is they're changing it a little bit so that we've already got the laws in the books that you can't be, you have to be a U.S. citizen to own land in Oklahoma. But they're modifying that to a point that I can't get into yet. I'm still on the outside.
Really? Is that true?
That you can't own land unless you're a U.S. citizen?
Okay, yeah.
In Oklahoma, yes.
So
that was passed back in the 70s.
That was passed back in the 70s.
And they've modified it a little bit when we had all the grow houses come in, and we had
when you're talking about owning land, would that include a piece of real estate, a home, estate? Like a primary residence? I
would think, because it's still owning property. That house has got to be on some dirt somewhere.
Right.
So I would think. But you have to be a U.S. citizen to own land in Oklahoma. But they found a way around that. So this law is going to reinforce that a little bit more.
Right.
That law initially was brought in back in the 70s.
Right.
And then it was modified
most other states,
a few years ago.
Most other states allow foreign investments in land. For crying out loud, the Chinese has bought up half of Texas.
That's Texas.
Right.
We don't allow that in Oklahoma.
No, and it shouldn't be allowed in Texas either.
Well, we can't help Texas.
Thank you. But I'm not saying. I'm not saying that private investors shouldn't be able to buy it, but when a government is behind all the purchases and buy it next to our military bases and all kinds of stuff, then
Well, remember when I
it's
said,
time for regulation.
remember when I said this might sting?
Yeah.
The sting's coming. But then the Senate Bill 239 they've put in that's going to eliminate the tax credits for the green energy people. And that's the only reason they're coming in is because of the amount of money that they get from the federal government that is actually going to come out of our pockets as well.
Right.
So they're going to eliminate that, and that'll probably make them go away. But I don't know.
How come that green energy has been such a thing here in this state?
Because of the tax incentives.
You're
So-
convinced about that?
I am. I'm just an old diesel mechanic. Okay.
Right.
I'm really good in my area of diesel.
Yeah. No, I understand.
So this is something that I've had to learn and study. And what I've been finding out is on the cost of bringing in, mixing the cement, pouring all that, all the materials, they're in the hole when they put up a tower. When they put up a wind turbine, they're in the hole.
Right.
They've lost money. That won't ever pay for itself. But with the tax subsidies, they're making money. And then it produces income.
Right.
That's
So-
what I've found out. And that's where they're getting their money.
Okay.
So we take that away, then they'll go away. There's not been we don't need the energy. We don't need the contaminated soil. We don't need the potential for contaminated water. We don't need the potential for contaminated livestock.
Yeah, I heard now just a couple of weeks ago they actually stopped. There was one line that was going to go north Oklahoma here somewhere, and that line wouldn't even benefit the Oklahoma residents.
No, they're going straight through.
Yeah, and I heard some of it is actually going to D.C. and New York. And
I
the
don't.
West
They'd have to
Coast-
go through all
East
the other
Coast.
states to make that happen. But we're already feeding Texas, and I heard today we're feeding Louisiana,
Right.
and that corridor that they were coming through was going to feed Arkansas. We don't use all the energy that we produce as it is.
No, in this state, no.
Yeah. So why do we need it?
Yeah.
And it's just they're going to dig our land up, and then we've lost 3 to 5 years.
So
of
you're going to
productivity.
fight to get 239. That's one of the things you want to do.
We need to get. I would get up there and back all 4 of these.
Right.
Now, from
What about the last one? Well,
the last one is Senate Bill 268, and that's on the humanure
Okay.
when they're putting the biosolids out on the farmland.
Right.
It has PFAS in it, which is permanent. You got me on that one. I can't pull that out right now, but it's permanent drugs that people are flushing in the toilet, and then other solids that will not biodegrade are ending up in the farm fields.
Right.
And then we plant corn there.
Yeah.
You're going to be eating that.
Yeah, I think that is part of the cattle thing too. You know, a lot of cattle farmers that raise cattle, what do they put in them? Hormones for quick growth. A lot of
we
them
don't.
do. I don't. I know you might not, but there's a lot of farmers that do that. I don't know how that is that regulated here in Oklahoma? Do you know?
I wouldn't think
Because when they take a dump, and that is,
they do that.
and they do that, and then that is used. Well, you get all the growth hormones and all kinds of stuff that comes with it, and if it goes in the soil where you're growing corn and other things, yeah, I can get the idea.
So it's a big recyclable mess.
Yeah,
I mean, our cows poop on the land. We spread it out, use that for fertilizer.
right.
but we don't put any growth hormones in anything.
No, well, and you don't.
We will shoot them with an antibiotic if they're sick. Just so, I mean, just like we take medicine, we'll shoot them with that. But then, before you can process one, it has to be so many days from the time that they were given that drug, and we make sure on our farm that's right.
Right.
We follow all the rules, all the guides.
Right.
But we would never tell you that that's all they ever eat is grass.
Right.
Because we do feed grain and other things as well. But we're not putting growth hormones in to make their size and weight have more volume than what's natural.
Right. But a lot of them, if you do some studies,
So I don't know of a
looked into that a little
farmer.
bit.
I don't know of a farmer in Oklahoma. I don't know all of them, but I don't know of a farmer in Oklahoma that actually does that.
No. Oh, I'm not saying that they do, but it's a known fact that some.
I won't disagree with you.
And I'm not gonna tell who and what and where, but I've seen it happen. I never heard about it here in Oklahoma. But
Well, there used to be a little pellet that you inject in their ear called Ralgro.
Yeah.
Back in the 80s, and we would go out and work cattle when we were in ag, and we would put the Ralgro in their ears, and I still haven't ever taken the time to find out if that was a growth hormone. Kind of sounds like it.
It does.
But that was back in the 80s.
It does.
Those cows are long gone by now.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So the sting part, though, that's the first thing to do. Because whoever gets in this office, more than likely they'll be elected April the 1st. The primary is March the 4th. And that'll get us down to the final Republican, Independent, and Democrat.
Right.
And then we can have the election and put somebody in there as early as the vote will be April the 1st. Typically takes 3 or 4 days to make it certified to stick.
Right.
And then they report to work, from what I understand.
Right.
So they've got till the end of May to get these backed, do a little more research on them, and get them back to make the right decision, and then make that call.
Okay.
So then they've got to spend all summer studying up, writing up what else needs to be done. And you ask. So one of the things that I would work to do would be to put together a Senate bill that's going to tighten up the land ownership. And I want to see residents of Oklahoma own Oklahoma land.
Right.
That's going to sting a little bit.
Yeah.
I want to see United States citizens lease Oklahoma land.
Right. Yeah.
And that'll put an end to the foreign corporations coming in and signing these leases, because we'll have to have a U.S. citizen. And if we want to get really tight on that, you have to be an Oklahoma resident to lease land in Oklahoma.
Right.
But that's a little too far out there.
Yeah,
that's way right on that meter.
It's far out. Any other things? That you want to bring up?
I want to propose that the legislators,
right,
or government employees,
right,
when they leave this office, they don't have the opportunity to go to work for the lobbyist that's been paying their way all those years. I don't want the lobbyist in the Capitol disrupting the lawmakers' ability to look over these bills. A lot of these bills are several pages long, if not 100 pages long, and usually they're reading it, looking at it, going down to vote on it, and they don't have the time to actually go through and read every page in that document.
Right.
There was a bill handed out to us today that's 1 page front and back.
Right.
Pretty simple, easy to understand. You know you're for it.
Right.
And I didn't bring it in.
But
with me.
these 50, 100, 200, 500, 1,500 page bills that especially the federal government, but I'm sure it happens in the state too, where those people that are actually going to make a common sense decision doesn't have the chance in the world to actually get through the whole package, and I think that's partially done for tactical reasons by some people. What do you think?
So in the state of Oklahoma, they made it law that you can't stack bills on a bill.
Okay.
You have a bill. You have one bill, say you want all the tires for the motor cars to be the color blue.
Right.
So you have one bill. There's not going to be another bill that's going to say that the headlights have to be a blue color as well.
Right.
You're going to have one bill, one subject. So why are there so many pages to that? See, I'm common,
Right.
and I apply common principles to what I see. I read a page for my diesel class for national accreditation for ASE for my students, and I read the document. It was 1 page long, and I asked the state career tech director at the time. He was there helping me fill this paperwork out. I asked him, "What does this say? I can't understand this. I got lost in the long words and sentences, and it doesn't make any sense to me." And he looked at me and says, "Well, all that says is you have to provide a trade magazine to your students to look at if they have any spare time." I see the trade magazine, something have to do with diesel, like the Hot Rod magazine. And he said, "Yeah." I said, "Okay." And it took them a whole page to say that. All they're doing is confusing the facts.
Right.
And it just needs to be simplified so that we can understand.
A lot.
That happens.
And now I'm going to stamp in hot water. A lot of the laws are written by attorneys, aren't they?
They're written by very educated people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And attorneys are they're the law people, and it nothing bad about them, but sometimes they write stuff that common human beings does not understand.
You mean like common sense?
Common sense and common human beings don't understand.
Yeah, that's all we need. If we're going to make good decisions, I'm a diesel mechanic. I educate students to be diesel mechanics. I'm a farmer. I own a business, and in that business, we build high horsepower engines for one company. I have one customer.
All right.
I do that pretty good.
All right.
And now you're going to throw a bunch of paperwork at me and expect me to make really good decisions on things like that. I'm going to have to simplify it.
Right.
But we need to get the lobbyists out of there so that the legislators can do their job without being interrupted. It's just like the push to get cell phones banned in the classrooms.
Right. Yeah. Well.
So I've collected them this year for my class.
Right.
And didn't get any negative feedback from any of the students.
You collect them before the class starts, and then give it back when they're walking out the door.
When they go to break, they can get their phones, and they're readily available. I've got them hanging on the wall, but they're not in their pocket. They're not on their desk. They're not distracting them, and they live through it, and they're fine, and they're better students for that.
Yeah.
That's a lobbyist. That phone is a lobbyist.
Right. And I can understand that. There's a lot of things that's gotten into school when you and I were younger. Cell phones were not invented, by the way.
You're right.
There was no technology to bring to the classroom.
Well, the technology we had was nothing like where we're at now.
No.
But I am a supporter of technology.
Oh yeah. No.
This might hurt me, but the wind people, if you will get that technology up and going so it doesn't hurt the creation, which includes the people, the environment,
right,
and all the creation, You get that technology where it does not hurt any of that, I'd consider it.
Right.
But right now, it's hurting it.
Oh, there's no doubt.
So-
You're talking about wind
The wind, yeah.
energy, and to some degree solar energy too. The solar and the panels, yeah, fine, yeah, make a little noise. What happens is 10, 15 years down the road when we're gonna replace all these batteries, the waste from that is 100 times worse than
Staggering.
little CO2 coming out of a car or whatever.
We're out of the cow.
Yeah, we're out of cow. Yeah, yeah, they want to ban the cows too. So
Yeah, we're gonna have to put mufflers on them. or
air filters.
because I'm a diesel guy. We're gonna have to put DEF on them.
Or air filters.
Something to that nature. Something ridiculous.
Right.
And you might have just gave somebody an idea out there.
Right.
But
Yeah.
there's so many issues, and me going out knocking doors and meeting people and talking to them. There's way more issues than what I even ever realized. But the one deal that I know is we've got to grow Oklahoma. We've got to get our economic development top notch.
Right.
And we've got to do that without the taxpayer paying the bill. If you have a corporation that wants to come into Oklahoma and you tell them, say, yeah, you come on in, you promised you'd hire 1,000 Oklahomans, that's worth it to us. You can come in, operate 10 years tax-free.
Right.
So who's paying the taxes then? The corporations aren't. The ones that's making the giant amounts of money
Right.
with giant amounts of investment.
Right.
I'm sensitive to that, I understand. But who's paying the taxes? The 1,000 employees that's working for them,
Right.
that's not making what they're making. That's
Right.
who's paying the taxes.
Yeah. No,
So
that-
we've got to correct that so we can keep more money in the blue collar workers.
Right.
And it's been mentioned, and we've tried it before, I do believe, a straight across the board tax. It didn't go. That was a different time.
Yeah.
And it's-
Well, I'm a little more radical on the taxes.
Are you?
Yeah.
You going to run for office?
No.
The art of being taxed. If you're going to tax me for making my money, tax me for making my money. But then you're going to tax me if I spend my money. And that's getting confusing to me.
Right.
And then if I put my money back,
Are you talking about VAT or what?
well, when I put my money back and I pull it out early before retirement, you're going to tax me again.
Right.
How many times should our dollar get taxed?
Right.
So that's how we fund the government. And it's typically the middle working class
Yeah.
that's funding that.
Yeah.
So if we cut out the incentives, right? We cut the incentives out for these corporations where they're paying their tax, that should ease our tax burden.
Right. Generally, though, if you study it, generally, corporation doesn't pay a whole lot of taxes at all.
So we will have to find a way, and I'm not ready to throw that out there yet. I don't know
No.
enough about it.
Yeah.
But the corporate tax, yeah, they hide their money.
Right.
But we do the same thing on the farm. We play by the rules that are established, that are made. And because we have cows, if we need to buy a tractor to maintain those cows, we buy that tractor, and that is a tax deduction.
Right.
And yes,
Oh, yeah, no,
it is
I mean,
abused.
but there's laws against it, but
That's how we
but
keep our tax money.
It's an interesting conversation, and I would like for politicians to really start studying the tax and tax laws over the last 100, 150 years, and you find out that there has been and there is many other ways to fund the government. Now, and I don't know where you stand, but I'm going to ask
tell you.
I'm going to ask you. I think our federal government, for instance, I don't know much of Oklahoma, so I'm not ready to talk about it. I just moved here
Oh, I
3 months
understand.
ago.
We need to get educated a little bit before
Yeah,
we open our
right.
mouth.
But the federal government has become a beast of waste in many, many, many areas. I mean, if you start looking at all these incentives and all where the money is going, it is absolutely. And now they're coming out. They're coming out with reports that they think we can cut about $1.5 to $2 trillion out of the federal government. Where are they spending the money? What do you think?
What's our deficit look like?
35T, almost 36.
Yeah, is that even a number? It shouldn't be. And that's debt. That's not profit. That's not income. That's pure debt.
Yeah.
How are we going to collect enough taxes to pay for that? Because that's all the government has is tax money. They might have a few investments, foreign investments, but
Yeah.
they rely on our tax money to keep going.
Well, there's other things that they can do. I mean,
Sure, but what are we doing?
nothing has been done.
They're going to tax us now.
Everybody in the politics seems to, once they get in the office, and now we're getting into the nitty-gritty, once they get into the office, the promises they made to get to where they are forgotten. And I would like to see a change there as a citizen. Your word got to be your word.
Yeah. So, like I said, in this District 8 race, we're rural. We're rural, but we matter.
Yeah,
We matter.
absolutely.
The individual that gets elected has got a year and a few weeks to back up everything that they say that they're going to do.
Right.
They're going to have to back that up, or when the 2026 election comes in, they're gone, and we're going to start this process all over again.
Right.
So whoever gets in this position is really going to have to work their butt off to prove
And
that they're worthy.
you feel you're ready to do it?
I'm pissed off enough about what I'm seeing to go up there and get us an honest effort,
Right.
and heavy on the honest part.
Right.
I didn't put anything down that I'm going to stand on and fight for that I won't stand on and fight for.
No.
But that goes all the way back to my bio.
Yeah. How do you? Touching on another thing. How do you intend to communicate if you were elected? Hypothetically, how do you intend to communicate with your constituents, the people that actually put you in the office?
Town hall meetings. We'll hit the bigger cities, but we've got to advertise in the paper to tell the rural people,
Right.
Come listen. Let me tell you where we're at. Let me tell you what we're going to do. And that's when they give me feedback. Because right now, with all of the voters talking to the senators and House of Representative folks up there, they don't hear much from their constituents. And if you don't tell them how you feel and how you think they should be voting, they're going to do what they think is right. And that's not how they got into office. They got into office on your vote. You have a voice. You need to exercise that.
Right.
I'm seeing several papers nowadays that's printing all the people in that paper's district phone numbers up there.
Right.
And I'm going about that another way. On all of my yard signs, my signs, my posters, everything has got my phone number on it. Call me.
Right.
It has my home address on it. Come see me. If you have ill towards me, you might rethink that.
Right.
I do. We're going to go Second Amendment all over you.
Right.
But you need to be able to reach me, not by my office. And I talked to a few senators when Roger resigned. I talked to a few senators that's around District 8 and asked them to hear me and what I'm saying,
Right.
and you're not in my district is what I got. We want to change that too. But we do have one, and I'm meeting with him next Tuesday, that he is actually taking that responsibility on.
All right.
So all this stuff that we're saying is reaching out there, and is it coincidence that they're acting on it? I don't think so. Is it coincidence that all of a sudden the wind energy people are being heard, and we have these bills that are associated with that? Coincidence? I don't think
Yeah.
so. They're finally hearing, and with a Republican president coming in, they're not afraid
Right.
to step out on that limb now. With the Democrat president in, that was all for the green renewables and shutting down the oil and gas fields. There wasn't much action going on.
Right.
We've
Well,
been-
they're that's probably going to change quite a bit.
It is.
Over the next few months.
Yeah. So all of our platforms with no wind energy and all of that, all we have to do when we get in there is just back that bill. It's already written.
Right.
So we just have to make sure we're there to vote on those days.
Right. Do you have a feel how the vote is standing today with the current senators and House members?
How they're going to
When-
vote
when
on
it-
this?
yeah.
So I think it's going to be a party division. There's not going to be a lot of Democrats coming over and voting for a Republican bill. And I'm probably going to see not a lot of Republicans going to vote for a Democrat bill. And I wish we could
Yeah.
make choices based on what it's about, not what party they are.
Yeah. Well, based on common sense.
You know, there's that word again.
Yeah.
I guess that's two words, right?
Common sense. Two words.
You could put it together.
Yeah.
It ought to go together.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's where we're at. That's where we've got to be.
Yeah.
Have you read, since you're talking about history of the tax? Have you read Thomas Paine's Common Sense?
I've read some of it, but not a whole lot.
I'm about halfway through it, and I've pulled bits and pieces out of there that are written very well.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and I can't quote any. I'd mess it all up. But the United States was founded on Christianity.
Yeah.
And it seems with all of the politicians, they're all going back to that,
Right.
myself included.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you, when I've lived my life as live and let live, I'm not going to judge you for your personal sexual preference. I don't care. It has no bearing on me.
Right.
You're responsible for you. I'm responsible for me.
Right. And-
we can get along just fine.
Yeah.
Well, when I studied this office, I realized I have to take a stand. And this is me. This is where I'm at. I have to take a stand. So I searched and decided I'm going to take a stand on the Bible.
Right.
That's going to be my foundation to build on, whatever it says. So don't ask me to vote for something that goes against the Bible. I won't do it. I will not sell myself out.
Right.
I'm already not taking campaign contributions. I'm not taking endorsements unless you're in my district.
Right.
Important people don't impress me. So this is not an office that I see as important. This is an office of servitude. You're up there to represent your district, and you do it honorably and bring honor back to the position. I know some people, I've asked them when I go visit with them, and they're grilling me. They're physically grilling me,
Yeah.
and I love it
Yeah.
because their voice needs to be heard. But I asked them, when you hear the word politician, what do you think? And the very first word, corruption.
Right.
Very first word out of their mouth is corruption. And why is that? Because of all the years in the past.
Right.
I think we've got a really good start with the legislators that are in position now,
Right.
that they're respectable. and I don't know the ones that aren't.
Right.
But I'm sure you can't have all good. You have to have some bad in there to keep us on our toes. But I don't know who they are. I haven't had dealings with any of them. I don't brush elbows with them.
Right.
I met with Superintendent Ryan in the hallway for just a very short time, got a feel on who he is, and he's not what the people think he is.
Right.
He's a human being just like I am.
Right.
But anyway, there's misconceptions out there.
Right.
But one thing that I would do is I would bring honor back to this position. And then when you think politician, you think I can believe what they say.
Right. Yeah, and it's important for all of us to get to that point where, and I think politics in general over the last, I would say 10, 12 years, maybe even more, has gotten to a point where the people that actually put people in position doesn't no longer trust the people they actually voted in, and that needs to change. I think that is.
Well, it won't change unless it changes.
It seems like you're promising that's going to be part of your reign if you get elected. That we got to build back trust to the district and the constituents and all that.
So I have met with some really, really good senators that are in there for the right reason.
Right.
And they're voting the way that they said that they would vote, and that's honorable.
Right.
Is it always right, according to the way everybody feels?
Probably
No,
not.
it's not.
We make mistakes. We make decisions that are bad sometimes,
And we don't know it until we make that decision.
Right.
So,
but that's the important part. When that happens, is acknowledge it.
So
say, hey, I messed up.
There's one thing that I would like to see on the news, and that would be when the weatherman, the trained meteorologist, misses the weather.
Right.
And it has nothing to do with saving face or ego or anything like that. Just stand there and say, yeah, hey, I said there was going to be 12 inches of snow and 6 inches of ice on top of that. I missed that. Yeah. I made a mistake.
Yeah.
But you never hear that. They just go on and say, hey, it's 72 degrees today and no chance of any bad weather whatsoever. Yeah. But the day before they were saying 12 inches of snow and 6 inches of ice. Yeah. And you couldn't buy milk, bread, or eggs anywhere.
Right.
We love our French toast.
Yeah.
And I stole that because that's funny.
Yeah. So anything else you want to get out? You obviously have the opportunity here. We're probably going to try to bring back at least the last runners, whether it be a Democrat and a Republican, independent, whatever. We're going to try to at least make a town hall down there in Henryetta for sure.
Yeah. Well, we need the voters to go vote March 4th.
Right.
First of all.
Right.
We need everybody to go vote. And at this point, the vote's going to be so important that all I ask is that you study the candidates and make an informed, heartfult vote. Don't just go vote because...
And, tell me your website so the audience can... what's your website?
So it's www.edjollyforsenate2025.com. Or you can just look up Ed Jolly on Facebook, and then my regular Facebook page will take you over there if you want to go look.
Yeah.
But all that information's there, all my platforms there. It changes daily.
Right.
And because we don't have a campaign consultant, me and my wife are doing this all on our own.
Right.
So there we find mistakes, we find errors, we find a better way of saying the exact same thing, but it looks better.
Right.
So that changes.
Right.
And just like me registering Democrat, in the early days, I'm not afraid to change, but it's going to be for the right reasons. And all I did was get educated on what the Democrats stood for, and I didn't want to have anything to do with that.
Right.
I never looked it up until then. And then I went into my wife and said, did you know this? And she said, know what? I vote. And I said, I know, but did you know what the Democrats stand for? I know what they used to stand for, but they changed. And I could no longer back that. And I don't normally join clubs. I belong to a few association type.
Right.
But I don't usually join clubs because I can't agree with everything that they go with.
Right.
And I want to agree with them totally. So the ones that I have joined, I can nearly agree with all of it.
Right.
So I'm not a club person. I'm not a good follower.
Right.
I'm not a good
Are
follower
you a good
at all.
leader?
I feel like it. But what else could I say about that?
Yeah.
No,
but-
I'm a sorry leader.
No.
No, I've always led by example, and I could tell a story. You might have to edit this.
All right. Well,
Okay.
we'll see.
So when I was working for a dealership in Oklahoma City, one of my mechanics went missing. So I went looking for him. I know he went in the bathroom, so I go in there, and he's standing there in front of the toilet. And I said, what's the matter? He said, I dropped my phone in there. Okay, get it out. Well, I pooped in there. Of course, being a mechanic, he didn't say pooped.
All right.
Yeah. But he said, but there's poop in there. I said, oh my gosh. And reached in there, moved that little boat out of the way, and picked that cell phone up. And he said, oh, thank you so much. And I said, okay. And I put it back in there. I said, now you get it and let's go back to work. Your hands will wash, guy.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
I will lead by example.
Right.
I will be the example, and a lot of people have trouble with me
That's a
because
funny example, though.
I am their conscience.
Yeah.
And I even kept a job for 4 years after I got demoted
Right.
because my boss broke the code of ethics for the shop and told me to go lie to that customer that he had to pay for his repairs that we tore up. And I told him I won't do it.
Right.
I'm not going to destroy that man.
Right.
So he went out and did it. He destroyed that man. The man said, if it's going to cost any more, I'm done. I'll walk home. And he went out and told him it's going to cost him another $3,000 because the block's bad. Well, we
Right.
tore the block up. And I wouldn't do it. So he put me back out on the floor.
Right.
And I was supposed to quit. But me being me, I knew if I stayed there that I would be a thorn in his side. Every time he saw me, he would remember what he did.
Right.
And that lasted for 4 years.
Right.
And I was happy with that.
Yeah. Yeah, that's good.
But
All right. We had a pretty decent conversation.
decent?
Yeah. It
Okay.
was good. It was good. I like this. I like this format also, where you can sit down and you can talk a little bit about almost everything. And there's a couple of things. Obviously, the toilet thing, I might cut that.
You're going to
out.
cut that out? That's a true.
You
that's
want
a
it in
true
there? I'll
story.
leave it in there.
That's a true story. That's the best example of leadership that I can come up with.
Yeah.
How many would reach in the toilet and get that phone and rescue it?
I probably wouldn't do it.
The phone was already ruined,
Yeah.
so it didn't really matter.
So what was the point?
But he reached in and got it after he saw me get it
Right.
and pulled it in. It was good. But before then, he wasn't going to touch it. He was trying to get it out with coat hangers and all of that. And I've had my hand in worse.
All right. Okay.
But it's your call.
All right, Mr. Ed Jolly, District 8, Senate. Go and vote.
Go vote.
Everybody, go and vote.
Go vote.
Go and vote. Let's finish with that. these special elections has a tendency to have an extremely low voter participation.
Yes, sir.
But in my view, these special elections is probably as important as any other regular scheduled election, and it's extremely important. And I have a saying, and I'm going to say it: if you don't vote, zip it up.
That's right.
It just, if you don't vote, zip it up.
If you're not going to exercise your right to vote, then you have no say because you didn't say what you had to say.
Right, exactly.
Well, that was a long way around things.
Yeah. You took the long round, round on that one.
Sometimes you got to take the high road, which is the long road.
Yeah, that is so true.
Well, thank you for having me.
All right, and you God bless and good luck.
Thank you, sir.
And we'll see you soon again.
Okay.